So Famous Labs is an ecosystem. We have Deal.ai, which is good for white labeling apps. It's got a lot of cool marketing apps that I use every single day. Supercool is kind of like ChatGPT, except it does things and it has multiple levels of thinking. Famous.ai builds websites, funnels, software, applications, both on Android and Apple, and crypto projects. Got Game is our fun marketing game show aspect of the company. Lead Falcon is a AI CRM, which sends emails and SMS and eventually calls so that you don't have to be, really champion at nurturing and a great copywriter. It'll just kind of do everything for you. The tools that you guys are going to use are Famous, Super Cool, Deal, and Lead Falcon. If you want to be part of the community and have fun and maybe make some money, you can get a Got Game. The reason why we have this is for brand purposes and marketing purposes for ourselves. Okay. So this is what those of you guys who are new, this is kind of the ecosystem. Me and Terry are executives in the company, and we're trying to build an ecosystem where you don't need any other additional tools. I started creating this playbook about 3 weeks ago for myself. And basically, what it does is it goes through the different things. The way I use it is basically depending on what I'm doing. Like if I have a concept, I'll use these prompts. If I want something with branding, I'll use this prompt. If I don't know my ascension model of what products I want and what prices, I'll use these prompts. If I want to do 5-year financial projections in the future, I'll use these. If I want to make an irresistible offer, you probably have heard like the Hermosi method or the ClickFunnels method. We have irresistible offers. So this is foundational, getting your business strategy in mind, and then you want to start building your funnels. And depending on what funnel, like for example, if you have like a direct to purchase funnel, I use this prompt: appointment funnels, newsletters, email writing, sales presentations, demos, sales scripts, consulting or services, videos, VSL scripts, advertising, all these things. As I'm using it, I'm learning how to use it and building this for myself. And we have a community that we share this with as well. The big idea here, and the reason I want to give you a sense for this, is that I always use, for example, like super cool. There's some prompts that it says, oh, this is for super cool, right? So this is how you would use super cool. But some of them you should use famous, right? So if you're going to build a funnel, you should use famous. A lot of these prompts are famous oriented. Some of them are deal. For example, if you're like, I want to use Deal.ai for some of these prompts for different apps, you get a sense for this. My point, I've created my own little cheat sheet and we have a cheat sheet for the community. Generally speaking, more than just what's working right now, I want to give you guys context for how to think about these different apps. So we have famous, we have super cool, we have, everyone can see my screen, right? We have lead, and we have Deal.ai. And the question is, when do you use which software? And in what order? If you guys remember, what I've been talking about is synthetic intelligence versus AI, the difference between synthetic and artificial. The main difference is that synthetic intelligence has levels. It has executive level thinking, project management, and it also does the task. Whereas AI really just does the task. The question is, if you're going to be using synthetic intelligence, you are now the CEO, which what does this CEO do? Is you make decision making. So you're going to decide what is the next most important thing that I need to do, why. Then you're going to choose which software you're going to use in order to accomplish that. And then it's going to give you a response. Okay. If you give it a prompt, it gives you a response. And then you decide, just like a CEO, what needs to be improved, right? If anyone's ever had employees, the odds of getting the perfect thing back on the first try is zero. I don't think I've ever had that happen in the history of my business. Even the smartest employees that get paid $250,000 a year, they're going to do something and you're going to have opinions on how to improve it. That's the nature of business. That decision of what should be improved and how should it be improved is your job. If you're like, make me $1 million, I don't know what I'm doing, and I can't make any decisions, not going to happen. As you guys have heard me say this a million times, every business kind of summarizes into this little thing here. This is pretty much every business. These are the different things that you need to do. So you're going to do some marketing. Marketing is really only three different types of marketing. There's paid marketing, organic, like social media, knocking on doors, cold email, DMing, all that kind of stuff, and cold. So you divide these different types of marketing into these buckets, okay? And then you're going to send traffic to some kind of point of sale. And that point of sale is either a website or a funnel or call me or come to my local restaurant. It could be a brick and mortar, but generally speaking, especially with digital online stuff, you're going to send people to a website and then you're going to ask them to buy, to opt in, to call, or schedule an appointment. Okay. In the meantime, you're going to nurture those relationships. How do you nurture them? Maybe with phone calls, maybe with emails, maybe with text messages. That's pretty much it. Okay. Then you're going to onboard them to the product or service. It could be a welcome email. Here's your shoes. I'm going to send it to you. It could be, hey, let's do an onboarding, and now I'm going to do my coaching or consulting or service for you. Or it could be, here's your login to the software. Here's your login to the app. But in order to use the app correctly, you need to take this quiz, whatever. There's going to be some kind of onboarding period, okay? Which takes them from, I don't know who you are, but I bought your thing, to I'm actually using the product. Does that make sense? So there's this onboarding phase. Okay. Here, this phase is the sales phase, and this is the marketing phase. So you have marketing phase to sales phase to onboarding phase, and then you have customer phase or client phase, which at the end of the day, what you're trying to do is you're trying to increase the LTV, which is the lifetime value. That's all you're trying to do. Honestly, at the end of the day, this is pretty much all businesses. This is all it is. This applies to the New York Knicks, right? How does the New York Knicks make money? They sell tickets, they sell advertising, they sell merchandise, they do some marketing. They say, hey, you should buy this ticket. You should buy this jersey. You should buy whatever it is. Let me send you the ticket. Let me send you the jersey. Let me give you the actual experience. And then hopefully you'll come back and buy more. Even at the massive, huge, multi-billion dollar company level, or I have a consulting company where I help local businesses do email marketing and everything in between. This is the basic funnel of every company. And this breaks down into an income statement. It's revenue per unit or per customer or client multiplied by the number of units or customers or clients or widgets, right? Minus marketing, minus COGS, cost of goods sold, minus operations, minus taxes, minus depreciation equals profit. That's basically it. Okay, this is like pretty much everything. So your marketing costs are here. Your cost of goods sold are going to be here. And your operations is your payroll and your software and all that kind of stuff. And then taxes is what it is. Okay. So all of this is going to apply to your income statement, which is what your business is. As you're building these things, the question is, what part of these things are used by different platforms? I'm going to give you a high level for marketing. I usually use Deal.ai. That's what I use marketing for. For websites and funnels, I use Famous.ai. To do the prompting, I use Supercool, then Famous.ai. So they work hand in hand. For onboarding, I use Famous plus Supercool for the strategy. And then with the CRM, sometimes I use Lead Falcon. Until Lead Falcon is fully developed, we sometimes use Go High Level or any CRM. We're not fully integrated ecosystem yet, but we're pretty damn close. Okay. And then fulfilling the product is either going to be a service, which you should organize with Supercool. Okay. Or if it's a software, you'll use Famous. And if it's a crypto project, it's Famous. And if it's an app, it's Famous. Okay. So the actual product you're going to fulfill with one of these. And then customer support is Lead Falcon. This is very high level. how you're going to use these things. Does anyone have any questions so far? Otherwise, I'm going to continue. All right. LeafFalcon is just leaffalcon.com, but it's private. So we're not letting anyone just use it. So you can schedule a demo. If you go to leaffalcon.com, you can schedule a demo. We're doing an enterprise style with LeafFalcon right now because we're working on it, and the customers we're going to bring on with LeafFalcon are very specialized. Okay. So as you can see here, pretty much we've given you every tool that you're going to need in order to have a functioning company. Does that make sense? So now let me give you most of these things are in the playbook. This is how we do things fast because we have these like recipes that we use to launch things really quickly. If you guys have noticed, we launch things very quickly. So let's start from scratch. Let's say we're starting a company. What's the first thing that we need? We're going to go through this real fast, I promise, but I'm going to give you kind of a rundown. Okay. Terry Anderson, I would like someone to hire. Yeah, Terry. We have some private clients. If you guys want our help or whatever, we do take on some private clients. You can email Terry or join our community. So what's the first thing we need to do? You're starting a company. And I know if you guys are really more advanced, it doesn't matter because you're like, oh, I already have a company. Yeah, but every time you start a new product line or a new service line, as often as humanly possible. Okay. Like even Procter and Gamble, big company from Cincinnati, owns half of the grocery store. Okay. So even Procter and Gamble they have their own little VC world of like testing new products and different flavors, right? Do you guys know Procter and Gamble? Procter and Gamble. I'll give you kind of some context of what their products are. They own Tide, Dawn, Gillette, just millions of products. They're one of the biggest companies in the world. They may start new products or new companies or come out with different flavors, or like how often does Crest have a new sub product, right? They have a lot of sub products. How many different types of NyQuil are there? There's like a million. So they're always testing new things. So even if you're really advanced and you're like, yeah, my company does $10 million a year and like, I don't need this. It's like, well, yeah, but you need to be, if even the biggest companies are constantly testing new products, what you're doing is you're constantly having these little mini launches. And so whenever you have mini launches, whether it's a feature of a software, a new brand, or different offering or different price point or a Black Friday thing, you're going through this cycle of birthing an idea, putting it out into the market and testing it as quickly as possible. And then if it has traction and product market fit, starting to build the infrastructure to scale it. Once you start scaling, you have to do hiring. This is a cyclical process. It's not, oh, I built this thing and then I'm done. It's, I built this thing. Now let me try to find something else because I hired someone to run that part of the business and let me do something else. If you want to have a real company, you're doing this all the time, whether it's yourself or hiring or whatever. We're doing this all the time. Terry, how often do we test a new sub product or sub feature or different price point of something or a new packaging of something? I mean, it's like
Daily,
every day,
daily.
daily, guys. Not even, honestly, probably more than daily. If you include new features that we add to current software products, it's multiple times a day. Do you guys know the concept of pushing something to production, pushing it live? We push a new version of some of the software live probably twice a day on average. We practice what we preach. We come up with a new video or educational thing, constantly testing something new. So let's start from the beginning. The first thing you need is the product or the service, which really there's only so many things that you can sell. There's a physical product, digital service, digital product, in-person service, or you can make money through attention, which is like ads. The service is sort of like entertainment to an extent. This is pretty much it. This is all you can do. Physical product is everything from an iPhone to bread. Digital service is like, I'll run your Facebook ads. In-person service is like dog walker or plumber. Digital product is like an ebook or software. Attention is like social media, CNN or blog or an influencer. Every product in the world that you exchange money for is like one of these. So you have to decide, okay, what kind of product or service am I going to do? And then another one is I usually decide an ascension model. You guys know an ascension model, like a value ladder. You have something that's a free version, which is often at least like a newsletter or social media. And then you have something that's kind of cheap for like a landing page. You're going to run ads to get people a taste. Then you have something that's kind of medium. You usually have a subscription, then something more expensive or a retainer, and then something that's really expensive. Okay. So this is like every company in the world that's big has something like this. For example, Amazon, you can go there and just buy something. You can also get Amazon Prime, which is very cheap compared to what you get. It's like, here's Netflix included for free in Amazon Prime, right? It's shocking all of this stuff. If you're an Amazon Prime member, if you ever use Amazon Music, they're like, oh, you have premium Amazon for free. So they're adding all of these additional things, right? And then you can go to their grocery store because they own Whole Foods, and you can go and you can buy a candy bar. So if you want to give money to Amazon, you can buy a candy bar at Whole Foods. Or you can be an AWS enterprise software cloud computing buyer, and you can give AWS $1 billion a year to do your cloud computing. So Amazon has billion-dollar clients, and they have a stick of gum at Whole Foods. So talk about ascension model, right? Like anything. Ferrari, you can buy a keychain with Ferrari, or you can buy a $5 million Ferrari car. You want to have an ascension model. So you have your product, and then you're building a menu of services. I can go to my restaurant and I can get a Coca-Cola, or I can buy the $5,000 bottle of wine. You have an ascension model, right? Then the next thing that you do is you build your point of sale. What you do after that is you do I usually like to do a VSL on the point of sale. Then I'll usually do onboarding emails and SMS so that when someone actually buys the product, that they're going to actually get the product. Okay. Then I'll usually do marketing, which, maybe some social media. Then we'll do some paid ads, which is copywriting, graphics, and video. Then we're going to send all of that traffic there. Maybe you want to do some, AEO or SEO, which that's basically copywriting. And then once you have the basics of that, then you might want to do some cold outreach and customer support to upsell people that already purchased. Okay, so like this is like a basic, obviously there's a million like micro steps within here. Okay, but very important. Okay, so the product or the service, how are you going to do this? Okay, so coming up with the idea is super cool. Creating the product is famous if it's software or digital. If it's a software or an app, you're going to use famous. If it's like a book or something like that, you use Supercool. If it's your service, then it's just you using it yourself and you're off to the races. Okay. Ascension model, I use Supercool to come up with the Ascension model. Point of sale is famous. What I like to do is Supercool for the idea. Okay. And then I use Deal for the video. And then I'll use Supercool again for final touches. For those of you guys who don't know what that is, it's video sales letter. It's basically your main commercial. Okay. Your onboarding and emails, I write them with Supercool. And then I put them together with Lead Falcon. Or you can use your own CRM if that's better for you. Social media strategy is Supercool. Then design is Deal. And then final touches is Supercool again. I do a lot of the copywriting and the strategy. Then I'll switch over to Deal to like create the apps or create the graphics or create the video. And then I'll do some final touches with Supercool. Same thing with paid ads. All of our paid ads, for example, come from Deal. We're spending a lot of money and all of our ads are made with Deal.ai. AEO and SEO is Deal. And then SEO is Supercool. And then you combine that and put it on your website. Cold outreach is Supercool for the DMs, emails, SMS. Okay. And then cold outreach is just in terms of the software. You just have to do it manually. You can use something like instantly automated, but you got to be careful about your domain. Customer support, the prompts are Supercool. And then actually doing it is Lead Falcon. Okay. So as you can see, there's really everything that you're going to need to do to launch over and over again in this cyclical way. You can use essentially all of our different products. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, like if this is too fast for you, anyone that's old an OG knows that I go kind of fast and it is what it is. So I don't know what to tell you. At the end of the day, it's strategy plus copywriting is super cool. Ads, graphics, or video, deal. Photo realistic video or graphics. You can use deal or super cool, depending on you should try to test them out. Books, writing, apps, software, and crypto is super cool. And websites is famous. And then email, SMS, phone, customer support. Okay, so this is kind of like high level. And the meta here, the meta, you guys know what meta means? It's like a thing that's about itself, is really super cool for the thinking to strategize and come up with prompts for all of these. Music is super cool because super cool happens to also do music. What do you think, Terry? Is that kind of how you use it?
Bang on. I think you covered it. Not seeing anything else in there, right?
Yeah, I wanted to give you guys a, kind of a big tour guide in terms of like how to do these like specific, okay, well, I'm trying to do like, an ascension model. I have a prompt for my ascension model or an appointment funnel. I have prompts that will do the appointment funnel for me. This is how I use it. Or, welcome email sequence. It's like, okay, well, I have like prompts that will tell you which one to use. Does that make sense? So this is how I am organizing myself and organizing like our private communities. But this is, also it's important to like know how to think. That makes sense. Randy says you didn't get your login. You can just email support. If you're having trouble logging in or something, just email support at Deal.ai or
Yeah, I'll
support
drop it in here.
at famous.ai or support at supercool.com, depending on what you're doing. Cool. Donna asks, so are you using the prompts in the playbook? Yeah, exactly. So I use Supercool to come up with strategy and prompts. And then once I have the structure that I want and that kind of help me decision making, then I'll use those prompts or that strategy to put the workflow into whatever I'm trying to build. And obviously, guys, each one of these things is its own universe. If you're trying to build a software, it might take you weeks just to figure out the software aspect of it. Or I'm trying to make this video commercial that 10,000 people are going to see. It's like, well, you want to take some time and energy to do that, obviously. So I'm not saying that I'm rushing through this in the sense of the structure. It's like saying, oh, how do you build a house? The first thing that you need to do is understand the goal of the house and then choose the land so you can actually build the architectural structure on top of that. You need to know your budget so that you can decide what materials to use and then come up with architectural drawings. And you need to come up with the 3D rendering. I can walk you through step by step how to build a house, but just the 3D rendering of the architectural plans isn't kind of its own thing, right? So it may take you a little time for each of these steps, but these are the steps you need to take. And I would argue in order. Does that make sense? Dr. Kennedy talks about how we should not let our value pyramid. These are slightly modified versions of the same idea. The concept is you should be taking people on a journey that slowly over time, as they trust you more and as they want you to help them solve more problems,